Morning, friends and followers. It is the 11th of February in a snowy, icy day here in Dallas. We never have ice and snow, but we are heading into a very snowy, icy weekend. In fact, they said we're expecting almost 6 inches on Sunday. So, wow, is all I can say. So, Lulu and I are sequestered here once again, not only because of the pandemic, because of the weather outside. So, I wanted to come on here today. And for those of y'all who don't know who I am, my name is Kristin Kaufman. I'm in the business of helping people create the lives they want without giving up the creature comforts that they want. I do so by having a portfolio entrepreneur lifestyle. I have the Business Alignment Inc., which is the business that I'm focusing on today with you. But I also have other income streams and other businesses that I also manage. In addition, I'm a published author of 3 best-selling books. But today I wanted to come on because I had a couple of clients about a month ago, and it's taken me this long to kind of get my head wrapped around this, ask me how do you motivate a team? How do you keep a team engaged, focused, especially when you're remote, especially when you're in the middle of a pandemic and all of us are facing really difficult times. Some of us are seeing great success in the middle of a pandemic, and others of us have had a little bit of a hiccup in our business. So I've come up with 10 tips that have actually worked very well for me in my prior corporate career, and they're also working for me in my other businesses today. So I wanted to share those with you, and I'll also at the end of this video give you a link that if you want to continue to follow me on YouTube and or in my blogs where I share this kind of information on a regular basis, I would love to have you join me. Okay, let's get started. Tip number 1. Recognize and reward your team members. I think a lot of times right now especially, we are so inundated with our own stress and our own challenges that we forget to recognize and reward those people who are doing their work. And so what I've tried to do, and what I would encourage all of us to do, is not just to reward on what I'm going to call the dollars and cents, like making your quota or making your minimum commitment to a business, but also recognizing people who embrace the values that you're trying to establish on your team or in your organization. So things that I do is I might have an employee of the month, or a person who represents the values of the month, or I might even recognize effort. I love to recognize effort because oftentimes those of us who are running really fast, we don't always get to where we're going the first month, but we still want to be recognized for the effort. So those are just some ideas. You can do all sorts of things. You can give a book. You can give a gift card. You can recognize them publicly on a team call. You can recognize them on a team page on Facebook. So there are lots of ways to recognize a person who is doing the work and that also is achieving whatever it is that you're hoping that they will indeed achieve. So that's number 1. Recognize and reward your team above and beyond whatever it is that their merit increase or their commission that they're going to make. Recognize them above and beyond that. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, get to know your team. I'm coaching a lot of people who are not real, and I'm an introvert too, by the way, but they're not real interested in getting to know people outside the office. They don't know their children's names. They don't know if they are where they're living, what their outside interests are. And I will tell you, every leader that I worked for that took an interest in me, where I was from, what was important to me, what I was going to do on the weekend, how my mom and dad were doing at the time, that really ingratiated me to them, because I thought, wow, they think of me as more than just an employee. They think of me as a comrade, as a person that is part of their life. And that makes a huge difference, because you're building a true relationship. You're building a relationship. You're building a camaraderie, a rapport above and beyond the workplace. So that's tip number 2. Take the time to get to know your team, not superficially, but truly authentically. Okay, number 3, set challenging tasks and try to skate to where the puck is going. So doing the minimum was never something that was ever instilled in me growing up with my parents, and it certainly was not instilled in me with my first couple of managers at Hewlett Packard, which is where I used to work when I first started out in corporate America. Those leaders set challenging tasks. They set the bar really high, and they knew that if they did that, and if I achieved it, awesome, but even if I didn't achieve it, I was still going to be, better than the average Joe. So set challenging tasks, set the bar as to where the puck is going to be, not where it is. And that will help your team run faster, reach further, stretch broader, and before you know it, your team is excelling in ways that the average team probably would not be. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, communication is key. You got to talk to people. You got to explain to them what's happening, even if it's the icky stuff. I mean, how many times have we had to share with our teams that the stock price is down, that budgets have been cut, that the travel ban has been on hold because of the income and the P&L of the organization. Lots and lots of things happen in business, but we have to be able to communicate with our team, because when you do, then they believe that you trust them, you've built that trusted relationship, and they know that they can come to you with anything as much as you can go to them. So it makes you accessible and approachable. So that is number 4. Communication is key. You got to keep those communication lines open. Number 5, welcome new ideas. Welcome new ideas. I mean, we are not the answer to everything. My Lord have mercy. I have never had all the answers to everything. And I was always relying upon the high achievers on my teams to bring ideas to me, to tell me when we're skating down the wrong path and we need to regroup or we need to pivot so that we're more in alignment with our customers or our clients. We simply do not have all the answers. So welcome new ideas, embrace them, give credit where credit is due. I mean, right now, one of my teams, oh my goodness, these ladies and gents are amazing. They are bringing incredible ideas to the forefront. They're constantly sharing. We are constantly learning and growing together. We give credit where credit is due. And because of that, all of the boats are rising. And you all know that a lifting tide or a rising tide lifts all boats. So that is number 5, is to welcome new ideas. Okay, number 6, encourage leaders on your team to step up. A lot of times, it's easy for people to sit back and let somebody else take the heavy lifting of leading a team. But I've always loved encouraging leaders on my team to take the reins. And that could be leading a team meeting during the week, a staff meeting. That could be leading the charge on a specific promotion that we're trying to run. It could be leading the charge on developing a video webinar and doing it all on their own with our support. But whatever it is, if we decide that we're going to do it all, then guess what? We're going to end up doing it all. And then you're not going to be fostering leadership on your team. So, I just really love encouraging leaders to step up, because not only does it help me because I learn from them, but it helps the rest of the team feel like they could step up too. So again, it's encouraging people to do more than what they think they can do and to rise to a level that they never thought they could. So that is the next tip. Okay, I guess this is number 7. Set or plant the flag. There's nothing more important than setting a vision for your team. Setting the vision for your team. It's where we ultimately want to go. And if you don't set that flag or plant that flag, people will aimlessly go to where they think they're supposed to go. But if we all are focused in the same direction, where we've set a vision for the team, and that could be to be number 1 in the nation doing X, or it could be reaching X% of revenue by the end of the month of February, or it could be setting the bar within the organization to emulate the values of the organization. I mean, there are a million things that you could set the bar for or plant the flag for. But without having that vision, we just will do what we think we're supposed to do, but we're not all pulling together. And as I like to say, the wood is not behind a single arrow. So plant the flag, communicate that, inspire that, motivate that. There's nothing more powerful than setting that vision and making sure that people understand the role that they will play in making that vision a reality. Okay, the next tip. building esprit de corps. Recently, I was talking to a client who had never heard the term esprit de corps, and I was kind of surprised at that. But esprit de corps is basically nothing more than the spirit of the team. And the spirit of the team is how it's that unspoken mojo that the team has. We're all for one and one for all. We're all pulling together. And boy, when we're working on teams that have that esprit de corps, there is nothing like it. We look forward to going to work. We look forward to team calls. We look forward to being together. And I can tell you right now, I'm on a team that we have esprit de corps in spades. And it feels so good. So the question is, how do we get that? Okay, well, lots of the things that I've just mentioned will help do that. But the one other little thing that I've done in my past life, and it works very well, it's a little bit more difficult in the pandemic, is to have some sort of a team event together. And that could be happy hours, that could be, a team lunch. But one that we can do that I've loved is to have a charity event together. Like when I was leading global teams, we always, every year, at least twice a year, we would have some sort of a charitable event together. And that could be cooking dinner at a Ronald McDonald House. That could be doing a food drive. That could be taking an afternoon on a Sunday afternoon to do Meals on Wheels together and then having dinner after. There is something magical about putting others ahead of ourselves and doing so as a team. So especially now in the pandemic, those types of opportunities are just very plentiful. So I would suggest thinking about how could we pull together as a team to have something charitable to do together. And that will really bond you in a way that just pure business will not. The ninth tip. Every single month, minimally, we have some sort of a regular learning or a regular training. And that could be anything. I mean, for years, I always had a book of the month. So I would do a book of the month. Every month, we would kick it off with a book of the month, and I would either provide that myself or I would ask a team member to provide a book that has influenced them. And then we would focus on that book, not heavy duty, maybe 15 minutes a week, but we would share a chapter that we've read or something that we had learned from the book and how we're applying it to ourselves. In fact, one of the books that I used for years, and many of my clients know this, is The Four Agreements by Ruiz. And The Four Agreements was literally transformational for one of my teams, because those four agreements, every time we would break one of those is when we would go off the rails as a team. And for those of y'all who have not read The Four Agreements, I highly recommend it. But there are a million other books that you could read. That's one example of how you can take a monthly training or a monthly learning and make it real for your team. In one of my teams today, we have a weekly staff call or team call. And every week, we try to learn one new thing. Like last week, believe it or not, we were focused on how to do Instagram Reels and how to make Instagram Reels relevant to our business and how to make them compelling. Because many of us, we just didn't grow up doing Reels on Instagram, and probably most of us didn't. So we're trying to make sure that we stay relevant, that we stay up to speed on the new technologies and how to take our business to the digital marketplace with relevance and a compelling message. Okay, and the very last tip number 10 out of 10 on how to motivate your team is basically to lead by example and to do the things that you're asking your team to do. And, my mom and dad always told me, never, ever ask your team to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. So that goes without saying. It's easier to say than it is sometimes to do, because a lot of times we're asking our teams to do heavy lifting, and the best tip that I can give you is do it with them. So, for example, with one of my teams, if I'm asking them to do cold calling or to have calls with prospective clients, I'll ask them to put me on the call with them, so that I can help them and help myself, really keep those skill sets sharpened, and to make sure that we are holding hands and locking arms as we try to build this business together. So again, lead by example, do the things that you're asking your team to do, and that will set the example. So with that, again, my name is Kristin Kaufman. I'm in the business of helping people create the lives they want. Today, I wanted to just share 10 tips on how to motivate your team, to keep your team sharp, especially in the pandemic that we're facing right now. And I don't think we're going to see it end probably for several more months. So we have to continue to exercise these muscles. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Would love to hear your comments below. And I'll also put my link, if you'd like to follow me on YouTube, I'll put that in the comments section. And I'll also put the link to my blog if you'd like to follow me on my blogs. So make it a great Thursday wherever you are. In Dallas, it's snowy and icy, so be safe if you're in the Texas area. And I will look forward to hopefully seeing you here again within the next week or so. Make it a great day.